Ducks all over again. Wonderful times. Hi, I'm Connor McGraw. Welcome to the Phantom Zone.
I'm Hunter Davenport, and if today had a face, I would punch it.
I'm Arlen Harrow, and I taught all these guys what scalies are, so...
Oh, I hate you. You're the worst. Although it begs the question, when they bring their clothes to be dry cleaned, can they really claim that it's egg whites they got all over their outfits?
Fucking
I'm Erik Fedorchak, and I ate a delicious steak today.
I saw that. Holy shit.
Yeah, dude.
They weren't cooked yet, and I was salivating.
They were less than $10 each, too.
Oh
that was the amazing thing.
They looked like those things that they fucking handed Fred Flintstone in the intro.
Yes, they were just under £1.50 a piece.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh
man.
my.
If you're smart about your shopping, you can actually eat well.
God damn, those are fantastic.
I'm looking at this now. The salt. That salt.
Yeah, man. Spend a little bit extra money on what you feed yourself, and it's the best thing on earth. It's the best thing on earth.
Treat yourself, girl.
Exactly.
So the CW shows were
back.
Like, I think. Well,
let's just
the fucking pattern we've had finally broke.
We need to discuss. I think we need to discuss Flash first. Honestly.
Yeah.
Do we discuss Flash
first? Yeah.
I feel like we should.
We need to address the elephant.
Okay, I agree because this episode is both one of the worst episodes of this show I've ever seen. That has an ending that is so out of left field that you can't help but have kind of a out loud positive reaction to it. But then you sit back and process it, and you're like, "Wait, no, what in the? You can't do this."
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then everything sinks in. Like, wait a minute.
There's a lot of bad shit in this episode.
Just fucking unkill somebody publicly.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the introduction of Defoe was...
Defoe. That's an even better one.
They lied to a judge. They committed perjury.
Yep. Yeah, they're all going to jail. They're all going to jail.
Tomorrow they're going to jail.
I don't think anyone who runs this show knows how the legal system actually works.
Yeah.
No.
Which is startling because most of its casts of characters are police officers.
Also, they would immediately, as soon as he left, as soon as that, his wife got home, she would know he was fake.
Yeah.
Well, she knew he was a fake right away because, the real DeVoe, quote unquote, is home in somebody else's.
Well, okay, so I do have one bit of praise to end this episode. They got rid of one dude, which is good. They got rid of the Gap model, and replaced him with that girl from that episode that wasn't that great. So that's an improvement,
also,
I guess.
Can we talk about fucking Hacker Guy? How he fucking sucks and I hate him.
I mean, he sucked earlier in the week. In the week, guys. We reviewed this in the last week, didn't you know? No, but yeah, he sucked before, and he sucked even harder this time somehow.
That dude should be fired from all television.
Here's the thing. Yeah, it's no one. Okay, not no one, but the acting on these shows has a certain bar of quality, and you kind of accept it because you're it's kind of soapy dramas with some, with superhero panache.
Right.
And it shows them, it's how did you get past the audition?
Yeah.
Everything he says is dripped with now please do that again. But this time don't suck. Especially when he got out of the when I get out of the fucking the tunnels, he's like, I can smell all the technology around me. I don't think you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking up what else that guy was in, and I didn't see anything that stuck out. But I mean, I know him. I know I've seen.
I know where he's from. I can picture him in my mind as things. And I'm
the only thing I saw that was familiar was Batman Begins. He played a beat cop.
That's where he's from.
Oh my god.
That's where I remember him from.
Yeah, it's that, and like I said in the chat, commercials. This dude's been in a number of commercials as the guy who didn't quite get the pizza on time, or whatever, whatever, the guy in the grocery store who can't figure out where the soup is or whatever. That's just...
And it's like you put him next to like Derek Mears, who like isn't like he's not a prolific actor,
right?
But he's been around. He knows what the fuck he's doing at least.
Yeah.
And also, it's hard to ignore Derek Mears on screen. He's a fucking alien.
Mm-hmm.
He's a giant. And I'm really mad that he's gone now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
was that entire
okay.
part of it.
Let's attempt to figure out DeVoe's plan, because at least with Savitar's plan, we didn't know anything about what he was doing or who he was until like the end of the season. And then, like, he kind of explained it. He's like, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it next week. You're like, okay, your plan's stupid, but we know what it is.
So part of his plan is gaining powers. That's a big step in his plan, apparently, is gaining other meta abilities.
Yeah.
Why did he do that now? I don't understand.
Why does he need bodies to do it?
Right.
The other question I have,
like,
though...
why do you, like, I get that you're in a wheelchair. Motherfucker, you can fly.
Uh-huh.
Well, so he wants to gain these other meta's abilities. He does that with everybody and then keeps the bad luck girl's body. How did he negate her bad luck abilities? Wouldn't it still be active?
I don't know. And why did he...
Like, wouldn't he have accidentally poured that stuff into his own drink at the end of the episode instead of his wife's? And
First of all, we don't even know what that stuff was.
Right.
Oh, it's the stuff that guy cries. Remember? They
shit.
Yeah. It's that drug. The one that they said, like, it brings about a feeling of euphoria and blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
Okay. So it's like a super, not LSD, Ecstasy, yeah.
It's metextasy. There we go.
Right. I mean, okay, so if we go by what they said in the episode, he can only steal the powers of the metas that he created?
Yeah.
Which, okay, fine.
That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
He wasn't directly involved in the creation.
Yeah, exactly. It's Barry. Barry's the one who opened up the Speed Force and let some fucking residual dark matter out.
Yeah.
It doesn't...
Like, here's the thing. Savitar's plan, when you think about it, you're like, oh, I mean, like, I understand the process, but your ultimate goal is like, why do you want to be everywhere at once? Like, what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's also like it's not stupid until you kind of think about it. Like you're just kind of like, okay, like all right, you're doing something at least. With this, it's just like
I don't think they actually know what DeVoe's plan is, and they're just making it up as they go along.
Yeah. Well, like, DeVoe's plan part 1 is really stupid. I can't even imagine how stupid part 2 is, because we've gone through this before. Everything I'm hearing so far sounds like Arrow Season 4, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same thing.
Yeah, it does. It does sound very Damien Darkish.
It's the same plan.
And I believe you called this like 4 weeks ago.
I did. I remember thinking, okay, they want to save the world. They think they're the heroes. Damien Dark thought he was the hero.
All right,
what bothers me the most is that the Thinker is supposed to be like this super intelligent being, and his plan is so fucking roundabout and like obtuse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He probably could have like done something way smarter, and this could have been all avoided.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and going back to him wanting to gain or steal the powers from the metas that were created, the residual dark matter, does that mean Cecile doesn't have much longer to live either?
No, because she's different. She's not. Her thing is different. She's not one of the best metas.
She's only going to have those powers as long as she's pregnant, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Okay.
Is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Caitlin said like everybody in the city was basically kind of touched by the particle accelerator exploder. I think she said like your hormones are basically like it's like a mutant gene.
Right.
Okay.
Like how they activated it in Deadpool, like by torturing him.
Yeah.
I think like there's certain like situations that would activate like the meta gene or the meta cells in your body or something like that, whatever the hell it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Comic science.
Exactly. Yeah. With
Comics.
no logic whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, and like, why did DeVoe have to kill the metahumans that he created?
I don't know either.
What was the point of creating metahumans if you were just gonna kill them?
Yeah, like copy their powers and then maybe take them away. I don't.
Also, why we just got Warden Wolf, and he's already fucking dead.
Yeah, they fucking killed him fast.
That was
Warden of
pointless.
Iron Heights.
I thought he was gonna take Wolf's body. Which, here's the thing, that would have been way more interesting if he had. If he had been like, I'm in Wolf's body. That's a great actor. So far, he could easily take over for the guy who was in the role before, and it's just like, and also having him back in this episode felt like a spit in the face. It really, really did. It was like, oh, remember that character actor that you really liked? Yeah, he's back now for like a minute. He's gone again.
And he's Ralph.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way,
for a minute in the most nonsensical plot twist in recent memory.
Yeah.
So, speaking of Ralph, I didn't really like how the fucking Caitlin Snow thing turned out, but like, I did really like how he just like, no, I'm a fuck up. Like, people just leave. I did like that a little bit. Like,
I don't know. I liked her pep talk, I guess, but I don't.
The thing is, like, she didn't need to turn into Killer Frost back.
Right. She could have channeled Killer Frost. They're the same person. Like, this is a problem I have with Doctor Who fans sometimes. They're like, that's not the same doctor. How can you give the same advice? No, it's the same person. It's just
it is
a
the
different
same
personality.
Yeah. They just have different personality traits. It's the same. Like, he has the same memories. What do you mean it's not the same doctor? Like,
it's the same person. Like, throughout time. Isn't that the whole point of the show?
Yes. Yeah. But it's like the point of the regenerations is not that he becomes a new person. I mean, it's a metaphorical new person with a new body. It's when he describes regeneration, it's like everything I am right now is gonna fucking disappear, and a whole bunch of new stuff is gonna pop up, and I have to go deal with that.
Right.
It's like
it's like waking up one day. It's like going to sleep one day and be like, my favorite meal is steak. And then wake up the next morning going, wow, I hate steak and I hate my favorite movie. Like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's also like the shittiest form of immortality.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, Caitlin
you have to painfully die to get a new body.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, Caitlin knows how to activate Killer Frost at a moment's notice. So she knows Killer Frost's thoughts and what Killer Frost would say. Yep. That was really dumb. Ultimately. So
I mean, Ralph is still the runaway success of this whole season.
Yeah,
I
really like him.
I really like him. He's great. Like, everything he does is hilarious, and
I mean, this episode just cemented the fact that I think they wanted to have Plastic Man, but they couldn't get him for some reason, so they're just turning Ralph into everything that Plastic Man is.
I don't think there's gonna be a movie. I think there's just something up with that.
Yeah, there's some other conflict. Maybe he's a big part of a video game or something.
Maybe
he's featured prominently in the Injustice 2 comic, but I don't see how.
Maybe it's just the higher ups wanted to go with Plastic Man because not Plastic Man, the Elongated Man, because Eel O'Brien looks fucking ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
He does, but I mean, it's a elongated man doesn't look anything like he does in the comics either. Yeah. And he doesn't act anything like he does in the comics.
But I do appreciate that the actor they got looks like a fucking toy. Like,
yeah,
he does.
And forgive me for not knowing much about the difference between the two characters, but Elongated Man is pretty close to the comics, right? So far, like he's not a Boy Scout necessarily. He's kind of a scummy kind of guy.
No, actually, that's the thing. Like, that's in the comics. From what I know of Elongated Man, like, he's married and has been a detective, and is actually like a pretty decent guy. Like, I
think the controversy around Elongated Man came from
his wife being killed.
Sue Dibney was raped and murdered by somebody.
She was raped by Dr. Light, and then she was murdered by the Atom's ex-wife. Hey, sorry, spoilers.
It's really like, and people are like, DC, what the fuck?
Yeah,
that is.
Well, it was when
dark
it was a Brad Metzler written storyline, Identity Crisis or something along those lines.
It's ultimatum levels of DC being like too edgy for.
Well,
I do love 52, but that whole like that it's just uncomfortable. Like,
Well, that wasn't even 52. That's the thing. That was
the lead up to it. I mean,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Gotcha.
it's just like.
Well, that stuff comes from like a crime background. Like that's like it's like hiring Michael Mann to write DC. Like
Yeah.
like
Yeah, because Eel O'Brien, like he's a good guy at heart, but I mean he's always kind of had these scumbaggish tendencies. Once again,
Okay.
from the little bit I know of him in the comics, so it strikes me as them being like, well, we really wanted to do this guy, but I guess we'll just use this guy with similar powers. That's the thing
Oh.
too. Even in the comics, Elongated Man gets his powers from like a chemical he has to ingest.
Yeah.
So it does sound like they kind of switched names, and they maybe Plastic Man is really like up for something, and there's a reason. There's some reason that we don't know
Which
yet.
would not surprise me.
I mean, here's the thing.
yeah.
Like, I remember growing up, and there's a Plastic Man cartoon from Hanna-Barbera
Which
that I
is
absolutely
also-
hated, by the way.
It's not great.
It sucks, and I hated Plastic Man
I have
until
seen.
I hated Plastic Man until I saw him in Injustice 2 because he's hilarious.
He's
one of
also
the
really
best
good
parts
in,
of the comic.
Have you watched Batman Brave and the Bold? Have you seen any of it?
A little bit, yeah.
He's pretty good in that show.
Every clip I've seen from Batman Brave and the Bold is fantastic.
I love that show. It's really
Especially the I saw it's an episode that heavily features Reverse Flash, and it's like Batman, Jay Garrick, Barry Allen, and Wally West are all up against Reverse Flash, and at some point, Batman collects like everyone's Speed Force and fucking chases Reverse Flash.
God damn it!
that is the most Batman thing you could have possibly said.
That's
Because like
jeez.
Reverse Flash, he like puts Wally and Jay on this like perpetual cosmic treadmill. If they stop running, like they basically die.
Uh-huh.
And so like I think Reverse Flash has this army of drones who all have like Speed Force bracelets. Batman gets a hold of one, and then steals all of them from everyone.
Jeez.
But yeah, it's interesting that you say the video game thing because Rocksteady is working on something and we don't know what it is.
Ooh.
And there was Warner Brothers saying we want to expand this kind of like Arkham verse we have, and
So when
so
expanded, they basically ended it.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a team that they could do.
sort of league
Well,
Yeah.
it has
Or
9 letters, unlike Justice League, which is like
or
12.
or a squad of some kind.
Well, you could say that they're on the outs. That
Oh
they're
no.
Oh, here comes
They're
Arlen.
they're on the right side of the law.
Hey, do you know about this woman Katana and her sword?
Her sword.
This is Katana's sword. Yeah, I have that in my bookmarks. I have that scene, and whenever people say I can't believe something, I reply back to them, "Yeah, I can't believe this," and then I put that link in the comments. So
So back to this episode, like as far as like the meat of it goes, like seeing Barry just be a scientist again is kind of cool to use
Yeah, that was
non-powers to get out of
Also,
his prison cell.
Is
It's
he
cool.
still CSI? Because they're like, I don't want to work for that cop, and then they're just like, when has he done any police work in the last like 2 seasons?
well, they're afraid of
Yeah.
showing crimes, like actual criminal cases on this show, as we saw by the trial episode. Like they don't.
Oh yeah, it would. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna like. I've said this many times. Just do every once in a while do an episode that's just Law and Order, but with the Flash characters, and it
But
would
Yeah,
work.
like I'm like Flash doesn't have to fight Nuclearman every week.
And it doesn't
I'm
need
sorry,
to be a
every-
big fight
every-
every week.
Every
either.
bad villain is getting a name like that, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
God,
Ackerman,
it's so
Nuclearman.
bad. Like,
Yes.
like what we're learning from Black Lightning is that some of those episodes, they don't need villains. They don't need a fight
No.
at the end. Some,
No.
some of them
No,
are good
you just-
without it, but it's there.
You just need Tobias Whale being a fucking creep.
In fact, actually, like the
Yes.
only villain, well, they introduced a new villain this week,
Mhm.
who is downright. I don't know what she was doing, but it scared the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of like the creepiest fucking
Was
thing
she
I've ever seen.
Embalming someone alive.
Yes,
That was. Ooh, we'll get to that, but
Fuck.
like,
Well,
there's
I
a,
think the thing they've done cool with Black Lightning is they have kept
Yeah.
Tobias and Jefferson completely separate
Right.
for 4 or 5 weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
And it works really well.
Yeah,
like,
because I think Jefferson doesn't know Tobias is still around.
No,
but Tobias knows Black Lightning's still around. And he's
Right.
like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And and there was an action scene at the end of Black Lightning. I don't remember what happened in it. It wasn't that big of a deal to the whole episode.
But it was still a good episode. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it didn't need it. But anyways, also the dialogue in this fucking Flash episode is the fucking worst.
It is
the worst. I don't
also,
know what happened.
Any episode not featuring Tom Cavanaugh takes a quality hit.
Yeah.
Because he kind of elevates everything he does in this show, especially.
Right.
And it just seemed like nobody had anything to do.
Yeah.
It just.
And then, like, this episode, I didn't realize this episode was an hour long, up until Barry finally getting out and DeVoe showing up and killing everybody, and that's basically when I was like, "Fuck this whole episode."
Yeah.
Also, as far as inseparable presences go, somebody please get rid of Amunet.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. When she was dancing at the end, I almost started laughing. It's so bad.
I know
was
Katie
clownish
Sackhoff,
levels this episode.
Yeah.
I know Katie Sackhoff isn't like an A-lister or B-list. Like, I would say she hovers somewhere between like B-listers. Because like she's done movies with Vin Diesel. She was in Battlestar Galactica. Like she's done. This show makes her look like some Z-list fucking direct-to-DVD disposable nothing. She looks like an idiot.
If this had been a one-off, right? Like if her last episode or first episode that we ever saw with her had been the only one, it would be forgivable. Or even if in the later weeks, if the character just changed and she was suddenly like really interesting, and she dialed back the accent like 1,000,000%, this would be tolerable. But
then let's take the performance out and just focus on her character. She's fucking inept.
Mm-hmm.
She has been completely bamboozled by everybody in this season.
When she got knocked over, and then her metal shards were accidentally shooting out.
It's almost a cartoon.
Actually, that happened. I was like, is this a fucking movie by the Scary Movie people? Like, what's happening?
It felt like something you see in fucking Gremlins or something, honestly. Like a Joe Dante movie.
I've talked about the B episode of Arrow on here. Eric, I don't know if I've talked about this. I don't know if I've talked about that episode with you on the show.
No, I don't believe so.
So,
oh man,
I won't go into the B episode.
The B Lady is probably one of the worst villains across this entire network of shows.
Yeah,
but it's
even worse than Livewire.
No, she's worse. And just so you understand how horrible that is, it's the actress who played Beth in The Walking Dead. Okay?
Oh no, I did not know that.
And she's one of the best. She's one of the better actresses on that show. She's a great character. She's
pretty good. Like I do enjoy her. Like, and
like of those two sisters, like she's the more surprising one. Like you always expect Lauren Cohen to bring it. She was always like, "Oh shit, you brought it this episode." When I was watching Walking Dead, so she comes on The Flash, and her first appearance, she's over the top and cheesy, and it's like, okay, it's a disposable Flash episode. Brandon Routh is in this episode, so I can forgive it.
It's one of the first like crossover episodes. So you're like, your interest is built in because you're like, oh, I'm going to see Ollie and Barry and fucking Ray hang out together. That's cool.
Yeah.
Like both came together for one of the first times, and it's great.
Here's how bad I think that speaks to the villains on this show. Is there's a cyborg character, like a cyborg lady, who I'm still not sure what her name is, who shows up in the first, in like one of the, like I think it was the second crossover, the one with the aliens.
No, it's the first crossover. It's like the second episode of the first crossover.
Yeah.
Well,
Eric,
the newer
this woman
crossovers.
shows up. This woman shows up looking like a dime store cosplayer.
Yeah.
With 90s like light bright metal thick shit stuck to her face.
She looks like steel.
They don't even name her, and then she's fucking jobbed out in 2 hits by Barry.
Her official name is Cyborg Lady on the IMDb, I believe.
Great.
And
sounds like they had a lot of faith in her.
Yeah, she's like something that you would see in
A
an
Power
episode
Rangers
of.
episode?
I was going to say an episode of The Bionic Woman, but that works too.
Wow.
If I recall correctly, there's no build up to her either. She just
No.
shows up.
She's a character for the B teams to take care of. Like, they realized that they didn't have anything for Wild Dog at the time, and
Actually, that whole exchange with Wild Dog and Supergirl like saves that thing,
does.
but
but the B team
at the same time,
yeah, the respective B teams of both shows came in, and it gave them something to do, I guess. I don't remember what their importance was. This was during the Arrow 100th episode, so you had to give an explanation for what everybody else was doing while they were trying to find the Arrow cast members who were showing up. So
that's shocking to me that it was the 100th episode and it was that poor. Like, you would think.
Well, no,
that
is the only poor part of that episode. That
that's
episode
like-
actually is.
That's
If you've
like
been
the
watching
beeline.
Arrow for a long time, that episode was just giving you just gift after gift after
Yes.
gift.
and it definitely that was, I think that was around the turning point where I was like, all right, this Arrow thing kind of.
Because
Okay.
that episode brought back several like Arrow characters who were dead, basically.
Mhm.
For like a temporary one-off thing, and actually gave closure to Oliver and Laurel's like kind of doomed romance, and Oliver got to basically bury that ghost. And everybody got to basically reconcile like problems they had with themselves.
Yep.
There's also there's a great moment with Barry and McRory and that, and like a bunch of other stuff. Like, it's really good. You should watch it.
At the end of that episode, like, I think it's basically an alien simulation.
Yeah.
And then to prevent them from trying to leave the simulation, they hit all of them with like manifestations of their worst villains. Like Slade shows up, Malcolm Merlin shows up, and a couple others show. I think Damien showed up, didn't he?
Yeah, Damien showed up to fight Sarah.
They formulated like a simulated fucking Legion of Doom, and they fought more or less all of Team Arrow,
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's the fucking coolest.
Yeah.
including Sarah from Legends, because that's where she started.
John
Okay.
had like
Well,
a base like a faceless what's it called, I don't know, but henchman or whatever to fight, but
Yeah.
it worked.
Yeah, yeah.
I was just imagining if the Legends of Tomorrow was already going and they were on that, then it would just be a vial of hemophilia blood coming at Steel.
Uga train, he can't stop. But this episode of Flash, I think this is worse than Shade.
It's
Yeah.
really bad.
Yeah, this is and
And Eric,
Yeah.
you're aware of Shade, the villain from DC, right?
Oh yeah, no, he's an amazing character in the Starman run.
Yeah. You wouldn't think that way if you watched the Shade episode.
No,
Everything I've heard you guys say about him.
Fucking offended. Okay, I don't even remember the actor who played him. I don't remember what he looked like.
I don't
because
remember there being an actor.
He is promptly defeated in the first act of the episode, and then Barry literally wipes his hands and goes, "Okay, what about Savitar?"
So, the thing about that is like that is such a giant like a giant them taking a giant shit on like Jim Starling's character.
Yeah.
To me, like that is disrespectful almost.
And I think as it was happening, like Shade made a big return in the Flash comics, and like there was a big Shade arc where Barry and Wally had to go to the Shadow World and rescue Iris
Weird.
and Shade's wife, like because he's like I've lost control of the shadows and they're threatening to take over. I need assistance.
Oh, because they did that same storyline in Starman, and yeah. Anyways, yeah.
But this episode also it does what this show does, and it brings anticlimactic and silly endings to arcs.
Yeah.
This is I hate this. I really do. I hate going through this again. And I hate that I have to go through it again. I'm glad that I have you guys with me, I guess, this time. Like, I'm
You're
happy I
suffering
have
in unison.
company. Right, like before it was just me and my youngest brother, like sitting through and be like, what the fuck is going on?
Like I think I have like the most the most affinity and like the most kind of affection for this show.
Mm-hmm.
This is like my favorite show on TV, and I think it speaks more for this than does a Supergirl, because Supergirl is on season 3, and it's just like just fucking like the air is coming out of the balloon, and you're just like, I don't care anymore.
Oh no, the air's been out of the balloon for a while now.
Yeah, and the thing with Flash is that like season 1, I would tell anyone, like, if you're gonna watch Flash, please watch season 1 all the way through.
Yeah.
That season has one of the best through line mysteries, reveals, and dramatic turns in recent memory for me. Because even how it all wraps up, like the Harrison Wells Reverse Flash arc ends in such a beautiful way.
Here's the thing about that, though. It's like it's such a good mystery. Well, you know what the solution to the mystery is. Like, it maintains this like level of like intensity and like.
And also, like, your villain approaches his goals not with like a menacing hands rubbing together mustache twirling approach. It's completely personal and pragmatic. He's like, I just want to go home at this point. Like, I don't belong here. I've been here way too long. He's like, and you're the only way I can get home, so I have to work with you. Please just cooperate.
Yeah, and also there's this great thing that they never overplay, which is that like he both cares about these people and hates them at the same time.
Yes.
They also do the trope where oh no, my love interest is a boyfriend, and like they don't make him into a total scumbag.
Yeah.
They actually he sacrifices himself.
Yeah,
and it's
Eddie
great.
becomes the star of the whole season. And like I think at some point, at several points in the season, Eobard is doing things that are like irrefutably selfless. In order to like, he's like, I'm gonna push back my own goals by a long time. But if I don't do this, an entire city will be destroyed, and I live in that city.
Yeah. It's great, and like yeah. Season 1 is so good, and it makes this sad in the same way that
I even said I would take a Zoom return at this point over these people.
Yeah, I mean,
Arlen's like, let's not push it.
Yeah,
well,
no.
Zoom is cool until you're like, oh, he's just evil and he loves it. Like, he's just Palpatine.
Well, I like Zoom, but my biggest problem with Zoom now is like there's so many unanswered questions for him.
That he isn't Patty Spivot. That he isn't Patty Spivot, which would be the funniest reveal of all time.
Well, also like, why does he have black eyes? They've never explained this.
Yeah,
Not once.
They don't explain that. They also don't explain like, his fucking voice. Like Barry can modulate his voice, but like Hunter Zolman's voice goes all the way down into this really scary modulated monster voice.
Right. It doesn't. Maybe his suit does it. Maybe, but I don't. That's the thing. He's not supposed to be like a genius or anything. He's spent most of his life in a mental institution.
I actually, well, after the season wrapped up on season 2 with Zoom, like when they suddenly discover like they're like, oh, Zoom is Hunter Zolman, and Harry goes, Hunter Zolman? He's a serial killer on Earth too. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. You know his face, you know his name, and he walked up to you. Right. And you didn't say anything? Like, how did you not know who it was?
Back when he was just running around as the Flash on Earth 2, you should have recognized him.
You should have spoken up.
You should have been like, that's a serial killer with superpowers.
Yeah, like that, and like his like when he gets the Velocity 9 in his system, and he all of a sudden has a Speed Force back, like his lightning is red again, and it just doesn't make any sense. Anyway, this episode is, I mean, okay, the DeVoe thing, like, God, this is exhausting.
I still like the idea of DeVoe. Like, here's the thing, the difference between DeVoe and Babatar is that I hate the entire concept of Barry going back in time and becoming his own villain. Everything about that is terrible, and
it doesn't make any sense.
And it's a knockoff of a Doctor Who villain.
And it's also a complete betrayal of everything Barry Allen is, and that and the entire concept of the Time Remnant and everything surrounding it is nonsense. I'm still just so internally offended when he picks up that fucking stone and goes, calcified Speed Force. I was like, fuck you.
Yeah.
You lied. That's the...
yeah, totally. And like, so as an idea, he's dumb, and that made it worse. I still like the idea of DeVoe. I still like the idea of a villain who's so smart and so much. His mind is so fast that it can keep up with Barry. I like that as an idea, but they are crapping the bed in the last half of the season. Hard. And I hope that the 2 weeks that they're taking off is spent well.
No, it's not, because when we come back, we're going to see Iris in a fucking super suit. That's still happening.
How much you want to bet that she has speed powers?
But here's the thing. Now here's what's more puzzling about that. Barry's out of prison.
Right.
Yeah.
So why does she need superpowers?
Well, maybe it's because they were so excited to see each other again now that he's out of prison after what? How long was he in there? For like a week? 2 weeks?
Well, he had... Okay, I think it was 20 notches, so not even 3 weeks?
Which, can we speak about how he doesn't understand how those notches work? It's 4 lines and then a diagonal one through them to represent the 5th, also closing them off to make them look uniform. Anyways, I was just gonna say, well, maybe he just he pulls a Spider-Man Rain and he bangs Iris so hard that she gains Speed Force. Yeah, that's my guess.
I'm really upset with myself that I've kind of tried to turn Spider-Man Rain into some kind of ongoing joke.
Here's the thing: it is an ongoing joke.
It has been since it came out.
I mean, because it exists, it is thereby an ongoing joke.
My other friend Joe, non-movie dumpster Joe, the panel from Spider-Man Rain where it's like, my love killed you. He's like, that's a thing someone wrote that people bought.
Yep.
I was like, yes. He's like, I'm stunned.
Because everybody was high from Batman, or not, Dark Knight Returns.
The funniest part about that to me is that her skeleton still has red hair, so you know it's her.
God fucking damn it. God fucking damn it.
Maybe it was actually she was wearing a wig when they buried her.
You put the wig on the skeleton.
90s fucking comics. God fucking damn it.
The fucking implication is that skeletal Dr. Octopus put the wig on her, I guess, because he's the one who brings him there.
Yeah, that's true. What the fuck is that too? Okay.
Zombie-ock?
We need to have an entire episode devoted to Rain because holy shit.
I will be happy to do that.
God, that would mean I would have to reread it. So no, we are not doing that.
It'll be.
I've read that shit 4 times because I couldn't help but just try to reprocess it over again.
Because you're a masochist? Like what the fuck?
Well, dude, I just read like a lot of Crossed and fucking Holy Terror. Okay.
Yeah, but you didn't know, and that's the first time you read them. You didn't go back and like, maybe it'll be better the second time or the third time. No, the fourth time it'll definitely be better.
I think Movie Dumpster is really bringing out like the inner masochist in me because like I was listening to myself on the Venom episode. I think my first.
You sounded like I was listening to that today. You sound like you're in a lot of pain.
Joe was like, Connor, you sound like you're just slowly dying on the course of the episode. Like I didn't have any emotion in my voice when I was like, this movie's nothing. This movie's just 90 minutes of nothing. But this devotion is pissing me off because I was super into this villain and I was like, look at his fucking presentation. The actor rules and he looks like a movie villain. And then they replaced him a bland guy who then they killed.
Knocked off Jimmy Olsen.
Yep.
Yeah, Gap Model. I mean, again, they've replaced the actor, so good on you, I guess.
I understand his constant need to switch bodies.
Well, no, okay, so I feel like that was a direct response to people thinking that the Gap guy wasn't a good actor.
I was thinking today of how the Flash has this thing where they have to have big reveals for the villains.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this is them just trying to like I don't know, recreate that somehow.
So I think what happened is they got to the point where they wrote, DeVoe has the ultimate plan to put Barry away, and then after that they had no idea what they were doing. They had no clue what they were going to do after that. And
also, like, here's the thing, like, okay, he made Ralph Dibny, so why isn't he after Ralph Dibny?
Because Dibny has shape-shifting powers. That's why. This is all part of his plan. He wanted Dibny to be to the point where he could impersonate him and break Barry out. He didn't expect Dibny to do this so quickly. But his plan all along has been to bring Ralph Dibny to the point where he can shapeshift, because that's when he wants to take his powers. Because that makes sense.
If you can steal bodies, why would you need to shapeshift?
Right.
Yeah.
If you can jump consciousness at will, you wouldn't need the ability to shapeshift.
I think the assumption is that after he has the ability to shapeshift, he won't need to jump consciousnesses anymore. And he can just steal powers from there.
But why does he need to jump consciousness?
I don't know. I don't understand it.
Here's the other thing. Here's the thing. Why does he need to shrink things? Why does he need to bring effigies to life? He's already super smart. Why would he need the ability to remote hack things?
Okay, no, the remote hacking thing, that's a power that he has in the comics, so I understand them doing that one. That one makes sense to me. I understand the usefulness of shrinking. The effigy thing is like, as a one-off villain, that was cool, and also, if you remember, we had a real problem with the fact that she was a villain in that episode. And the fact that they just kill her off...
completely culturally devoted, like...
I'm on her side.
I'd also like to point out that at the prison scene where all of them were right before DeVoe showed up and killed all of them, I kept expecting Altair to jump off of a roof because of that generic eagle cry sound they kept using over and over again.
And then fucking killing Wolf, like, even as like, and then sabotaging the couple aspect of DeVoe, which is like was one of the most interesting parts of it, because they were so into each other, and this entire thing was started with them together as a couple, so passionately devoted to each other, and now it just fucking falls apart because DeVoe just suddenly decides to be a dick.
Right.
No, I don't believe any of that.
Yeah. It's really fucking dumb.
And now he wants to explore some sort of weird lesbian fantasy.
Oh, that's the other weird thing. Why would he? Okay. Unless
he just wants to get his rocks off, dude.
Unless
he always wanted to have a scissor fight.
Unless his gender identity is different from what we know it to have been so far, this is a weird fucking choice. I get not going with tech guy, but why not go into shrinky guy or someone fucking else?
Yeah,
or
why did you? Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like, what? The body he had could walk. Why did he need oh fuck, I can't remember her actual, like, she had a meta name and I can't remember what it was.
Jinx.
Yes. Why did he need Jinx's body?
Wait, that's Jinx? What the fuck?
My only assumption is it's a real world reason. It's like she's the best actress of the four, which is
no. You don't understand what the fuck you just did to me. That's fucking Jinx.
Yes, that's Jinx. Yes.
From Teen Titans.
Yes, it's the same character.
I could be wrong with that.
It's Jinx. She does say her name, but she says, "I'm not going to be Jinx anymore." I get the tragic aspect of that. She's the only character who said explicitly, "I'm reformed." She defends Barry at first when everybody starts to turn on him. So
I'm having intense anger right now.
But why? Why? Like,
and it still doesn't answer the question that I asked before. How is he negating her bad luck powers? Because she didn't have any control over them.
The only maybe it's because he caught her by surprise, but he didn't. He got her last.
No, hang on. Her name is actually Hazard in the show. It's not Jinx.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was supposed to say, the fuck.
This episode ended what I thought was strongly, and then after spending 5 or 10 minutes thinking about it, I'm like, wait a minute, that really wasn't all that great. And I feel like that's just kind of a real great summation of the entire episode.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, the night of, I really liked it, and then the more I think about it, the more I really fucking hate it.
It's bad.
And it's real bad. Still not the worst of this week, but we all decided not to talk about that this week. So.
Yeah, let's get to that real quick. We're not talking about Supergirl this week because I think all of us have effectively fucking tapped out of this rain bullshit. I think it's the first time since Gotham where we're all like, no, fuck this.
And I'm so disappointed because I genuinely like that show.
I don't want this show to be as bad as it is. Mm-hmm. And it's not really the fault of anyone but the fucking villains. God, these villains are bad.
Yeah.
It's like...
And I'm sorry, like, dump Mon-El.
Okay, so
yeah, you didn't even get to see that to this episode.
I know.
I didn't mind Mon-El this episode. Actually, I'm not. We're not going to do the review, but I didn't mind him this episode. I think the last 2 episodes he's been better than he was in all of season 2. But maybe that's just.
And here's the problem: like
Melissa Benoit, really
jump
like,
to value, they lost one of the most valuable parts in the show, and that was Cat Grant.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally true. The problem is they started off rocky, at a rocky start, but they never had Arrow season 2. They never had their version of that, or Legend season 2. They didn't have that season where they just picked up everything and then it all came together perfectly.
That's the problem. Is Supergirl has not maintained a shred of momentum since season 1.
Yeah,
like they always seem to drop the ball, kind of pick it up, and then drop it again.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of you're left like going, that was okay.
Yeah.
Everything I've seen with this season of Supergirl is that all of the one-off episodes are the best ones. That's like the ones that have nothing to do with the larger storyline that they're attempting to tell.
Yeah. Yeah, the larger storyline of the season is really bad.
Yes.
And it demonstrates a lot of things. It demonstrates a fundamental misunderstanding of Supergirl, which is really surprising to me from people who, I mean, granted, they did write Flash Season 3, and they did write Arrow Season 3, which both misunderstood their characters, but still, this is a misunderstanding on a different level. This is the, I don't understand how Superman's interesting, all his villains are just the same. Superman's not about villains. He's about something bigger than that. His villains aren't the important part. Supergirl's villains aren't the important part.
I found Superman, when I was just getting back into comic books, when I found Superman the most interesting when he was put into a situation where all of his powers actually didn't make much of a difference.
Right.
And he got to and it was actually during Batman Cataclysm, during the Earthquake story. Mm-hmm. And he shows up in Gotham. He shows up and he's like, haha, what can I do to help? And Batman's like, you can leave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's like, there's nothing you can do here. He's like, every one of your powers would be worthless. And I think he basically tells him, he's like, nobody here, he's like, everyone here is either a criminal, a super criminal, or people who are so hopeless they can't do anything to help themselves. And then Superman rebuilds a power plant and supplies a whole bunch of, he's like, he does all this stuff for these people, and they just have their hands out okay, what about the rest? And he's like, you're the rest. And they're like, we don't know how to do the rest.
Yeah.
And Superman's like, what do you mean? I don't understand. And he just flies off and goes to Batman. He's like, you were right. And he's like, of course I'm right.
Yeah. Here's the thing. The most...
The fuck, dude?
Yeah.
I told you.
One of the best parts of season 2 is that they were doing political stuff. They were commenting on the moment. Hard. After Trump got elected, they were fully into it. And we're making episodes about ICE.
This will not do.
Yeah. And then they just backed off of it. And if they had stuck with it, the show would have had an Arrow season 2. It would have had a Legend season 2.
And here's the thing, looking at the credits for Black Lightning, that's an entirely different team.
Mm-hmm.
They need to bring some people from that creative team and just take some pointers from them, because holy shit, Black Lightning is so real sometimes, it bugs me.
Yeah, there's no reason Supergirl shouldn't be that real. Superman started off as a character.
When that dude was burn this lesbian slut, I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
And then I was like, please fuck his shit up.
Yeah.
And she does. Hard.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Arlen, about Superman when he started?
Early on, when Superman originally started, back in the Golden Age, he would go to the apartments of husbands who were beating their wives, and then he would stop the husband. That's a real Superman story that actually happened. That's the kind of storytelling that if you did that on Supergirl and you did it well, it would be interesting.
Or, hey, how about this? Maybe devote an episode to Supergirl stopping someone from killing themselves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Just adapt that sequence from All-Star Superman, and it would probably work very, very well.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter that you're
worked
lifting it
phenomenally.
wholesale, because the intent is still there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Supergirl is a sign of hope.
if Deadpool can have an issue where he stops a girl from killing herself, and it's the sweetest fucking thing and the most like sincere use of Deadpool I've ever seen, then you can do it on Supergirl.
Yeah.
Which is the most like startling place I've ever seen like a positive message come from.
That comic that you're talking about, it made me respect Deadpool as a character more. I didn't have any
because
his
way of keeping her from suicide is so intentionally roundabout. He just keeps stalling her.
Right. It's so good. It's so good.
But that's because Deadpool has a platform. Like it or not, he does. But like Superman and Supergirl have a bigger platform. Like
yeah. I mean,
that's the best way to tell a Kryptonian story, be it Superman or Supergirl, is having the story reflect off of them, not have it be about them. Have the story be a direct reflection.
Have them
of
kind of like
are.
serve as like driving the plot essentially.
And like I think what makes Superman ultimately interesting is when he has to bounce off of humanity to try to understand it.
Yeah.
Which is then like the result of what happens in Cataclysm is like instead of being Superman, he shows up as Clark Kent and starts like helping them people grow gardens and teaching them how to like basically find sustainable water. And basically using his farmer skills to teach these people how to survive temporarily while the city is basically just like ravaged.
Mm-hmm.
And then Batman sees him, he's like, see, this is how you can help.
Yeah.
And Pa Kent looks on proudly from a tornado.
Pa Kent is like looking as he like flies by.
Well, he's only seeing every fifth shot or so because he's back a tornado.
Oh my god. Now here's the thing: the ghost of Pa Kent leans in and whispers in his ear. He's like, "You should have let him die." What are you doing here?
Those seats were for the horses.
Those seats were yours.
Thomas Wayne is also somewhere else in the tornado, punching the tornado.
No, Thomas Wayne at this point has put a saddle on the tornado and has ridden it off in the distance.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's our Supergirl talk.
Yeah.
Do we want to do Arrow next or Black Lightning?
Let's do Arrow
Arrow first because this
Arrow
really
was fucking great this week. Arrow was so good. I normally put it on and play some video games because I'm just I'm there at my desk, and it's like I might as well just keep myself occupied while I'm watching this giant block of TV, or else I'll fall asleep.
I play 3DS usually when I watch these, and like it definitely Arrow kept my attention, that's for sure.
Yeah, here's the thing. I know when one of these shows is doing well. When I have to just put the controller down and just hit the power button on my console because I'm like, I'm not playing this right now and it's my Xbox, so it'll pop me right back to where I was when I turn it back on.
Yep.
I stopped playing. I was like, this episode of Arrow is really good.
Yeah.
And I know it's good when they feel longer than 45 minutes.
Yep.
Yes.
Because I think you're so into it, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah, I've said this before, these shows are at their height when you check your watch or your phone or whatever, and you're like, oh, I'm only halfway done with this. Wow, this is...
And you're excited that it's not over yet.
Yeah, you're like, ooh, I can't wait for what's going to happen next.
My only gripe with this episode was the continued team drama that seems a little forced and heavy-handed at this point.
Yeah.
And Dinah's attitude just sucks.
Yeah, it's not great.
Dinah's attitude
kind of terrible.
Dinah's
and
I don't want to use this word lightly, but she's a real bitch in this episode.
Well, it speaks to a larger problem with the season, which is Sobel and us not giving a fuck about him before they killed him. So it's just it's the same problem.
I have to say, I think it's hysterical that he died a week or 2 weeks after he's like, yeah, I think the show has room to tell a lot about Vigilante and explore where he came from and where he could go. I think there's a lot of room for that. Dead.
Yeah. His the way you can explore it is a coffin.
He's shitty Deadpool.
Yeah, and
first of all, he's such a shitty Deadpool that he actually fucking died.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just. And here's the thing: we loved him. We loved him last season. He was the best.
I like, all joking aside, I think fucking Vigilante's awful. So I love the bit where I'm like, yeah, Vigilante. But No.
Well,
Didn't
he
have-
strapped on some
didn't I-
skis and went up to
God
heaven.
damn it! I was literally on that joke. I was pulling in the fucking driveway, with my skis on.
There you go.
But
See,
you were
had a hard
driving on the
time getting
roof.
him off
It's
the
very
roof rack.
strange.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Actually, full disclosure, the first time I was on skis, I busted my ass in the training hill and spent the rest of the day in a fucking lodge with a sling on my shoulder and a cup of hot chocolate. Did not go well.
Oh god.
I slammed my wrists into a frozen patch of snow, and that was it.
Oh no. Oh.
Yeah, I went down with my body weight, and landed on basically my hand bending with my fingers towards my forearm, and I was like, "That's it, I'm done."
I spent the first 6 years of my life in Massachusetts, and I never learned to ski.
I live in an area where there's a very popular mountain.
Well,
in
here's what
New
happened.
Hampshire, and guess
Here's
what?
happened.
I never been skiing in my life.
Yeah. Here's what happened when my first encounter with skis. My uncle Mike, is like, I don't know where he comes from because no one in my family is like him. He is like an alpha bro who's like 6 feet tall with blonde curly hair and a ton of money, and he's always like, he'll be 60 going like, "Yeah, dude, whoa!" Like, he's one of those people.
Bro.
And we went, and my brother was like, who's significantly younger than me, had a choice. He's like, "I'll take a snowboard." I was like, that seems more stable than these two long pieces of fucking whatever the hell these things are made of that I can barely walk in, let alone maneuver in. And he kept telling me, he's like, "Yeah, every time I fell, I just kind of tipped over and got right back up." And then I see him later on from this lodge, like, fucking slicing up this mountain. And I was like, "I'll take a snowboard." They're like, "You'll take skis." "No, I'll take a skis and wish me good luck."
And then pushed you down the hill laughing the whole time.
Basically, more or less.
You should
What
have
do these
these
black
pizza,
diamonds mean?
Yeah.
Your
Okay,
pizza's
yes.
when you should have French fried.
And here's the thing, I was also lied to because they're like, "Oh yeah, when you fall, skis just pop right off." They
God damn it.
don't.
They do not know.
You're not in a cartoon. What are you talking about?
This is not The Spy Who Loved Me. What the?
When you fall in skis, you're still in skis.
No, you fall backwards and your
Yeah.
feet is like in an awkward position.
Your feet go up and you're like, "I can't use these anymore."
That's
If
about
it's
the
off
same
of
as
me.
them telling you, like, when you fall in skis, you then turn into a giant snowball that runs into people.
Yeah.
God damn it.
But
Okay.
anyway, yeah, back to Arrow.
Yeah.
Everything about this episode, aside from those two things, were so good. This episode was so good that it made me do a full 180 on Caden James.
His performance is
Yeah.
very bizarre.
He's.
Performance is bizarre, but then like the flashbacks, like
Yeah, no.
Mhm.
Yeah.
crushed my heart.
The Owen stuff is great. And I love that Owen
he's
is
at
like
the-
a total jock. Also.
Mhm.
When he's at the basketball game, he's like, "I just want to like see my son play basketball. Like, can you just wait?" Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Also, two reasons why those FBI agents are complete and utter inhuman dickbags.
Yeah.
That's one of them. Like, he's not armed. He didn't make a scene. He's like, "Can you just let me like quietly just watch the rest of this and then we'll go and I won't even fight you?" And they're like, "That's not how it works." I'm like, "You can make it work."
Right.
Like,
Beyond
you
that,
can
he's
sit there
not
with
even
him.
He's not
No.
even a violent criminal, so there's
No.
no reason to be
if
that
you
like
work with him,
snapped.
he's not gonna like tell on you. Like, that's
Yeah.
a big. If that's what you're
Like
worried about, like,
he made one simple, peaceful, rational request, and they're
Right.
like, "Nah, fuck your feelings."
Yeah.
And then later on, when he's in that fucking storage crate with a hood over his face, and they walk in and go, "Your son's dead," and then leave him in that storage crate in the dark by
Mhm.
himself, nothing but his thoughts.
also they fucking flash guns at him.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're a vile, inhuman shitbag.
Yeah.
Like the worst FBI agents I've ever seen.
I don't know who are I don't know if they're FBI or if they were Argus, but whoever they were fucking shitty at their job. They really
Also, like,
Yeah.
no, I have so many things about these FBI agents because at first they're like, "I'm sorry, sir, like we have to like detain you," and then they very slowly turn into dickbags, and then like they end it by like flashing guns.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
whoa, how did we get at this level?
And like, it's not like he wasn't like, oh, like Hayden James wasn't like, "Oh, if you try to take me, I'll put up a fight," and then they had to flash their guns. He was like, "Can I just please like watch my son finish this game for probably
Mhm.
the last time?" And they're like, "Ha, we'll shoot you." What?
Well, literally the last time.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. It's
That was awful. And if it was intentional, bravo, because it made me suddenly go like, wow, I feel terrible for this man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand.
It kind of explains why he would just go all of a sudden like megalomania on everybody and be like, I'll blow this whole fucking city up. I don't care.
It explains why he went full Hans Gruber on this.
Damn it, I would kill everything.
Yeah.
I will kill all of you. I speak in a stilted manner.
Yeah, like, and I expected to be really excited with full revenge mode Dinah, but it got real boring real fast.
It gets boring. Yeah, boring and irrational when you're like when they go to where they're like, hey, we need Laura alive because
Also,
the dude we're trying to stop as a nuclear bomb.
She has no compassion for her dad, who just sees his daughter who died.
Yeah.
She's like, no, we have to kill your daughter.
Yeah, and Lance. Oh God.
I don't know how Quentin Lance doesn't drink every goddamn day of his life.
Like just a bottle of scotch.
His life really sucks.
Like even though Sarah is back, like he has had to live through both of his daughters dying and coming back from the dead in some fashion.
Yeah.
Well,
so like
one of his daughters is like a time pirate now. Like
like he doesn't see her consistently. He knows she's out there, but she doesn't come to visit all the time because he's like, I mean, you don't even exist in this timeline right now. You're somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, she only visits when the world is dying. Like when, yeah.
I mean, realistically, he should just modify his holster to carry a flag, or not flag in it, a flask in it instead of a gun. I mean, that would be a more realistic choice for him at this point.
Frankly, anybody on Team Arrow who's like, Quentin, please stop drinking. You're the asshole. Like,
yeah. Just let baby have his bottle. He needs it.
Give him advice, please. Like,
yes.
Give him a flask full of Everclear. Just like.
And if you're not gonna let him drink, you better be supplying him with pounds of weed a week.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So he can do
something.
Black tar, heroin, something.
So, yeah. But we got a lot of Anatoly in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, yes. I still think that he was humoring Oliver.
Yeah. When that helicopter exploded, I was surprised he didn't like. Anatoly does not need helicopter. Anatoly fly on his own.
His midsection just starts spinning of its own accord, and he launches into the air.
He just clicks his shoes, and two tiny little rockets pop out of him. He just like floats up.
Like spark his wheelchair and steal.
Yeah.
Oh no.
God damn it! But no,
he's like, hold on, I'll give you one finger salute as Anatoly leave, and just like slowly rotates with two fingers out, and then just fires off like Iron Man.
Of those villains, whoever's playing True Dragon, that dude's really good.
Yeah, he came to play this episode.
Here's the thing. I gave this first half of the season a lot of shit for having really uninteresting villains, and fucking bravo for playing me the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, that's something Arlen and I had talked about a couple episodes ago. Is how why is he even in this show? He was just a mid-level thug for most of this season.
They had successfully put him so far down the food chain that I forgot about him, and then he. At the end of this episode with a fucking heel turn so savage.
Oh, so good. So good.
The one thing I'm going to say that I think is still unintentionally one of the funniest things I've ever seen is the doctored video of Owen's death.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's hilarious. Yeah.
Where was Owen? And what was he doing there himself? And why didn't he see who's there in lots of proper lighting with a bow and arrow?
Well, it looked like a deserted cafeteria at night, and like I don't.
Also, it just kind of happens, and then Oliver fucks off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like even the doctor video has this dude standing 2 feet away from Oliver.
Yeah. And
he just sidesteps the arrow like a fucking pro, and it goes right to the window and right into Owen's chest. I'm like, that is the most hilarious. And even Oliver's reaction, he's like, what is this? This didn't happen.
I've seen this. This didn't happen. We know. So good. So good.
The dumbest looking thing.
One thing real quick
was
before we move on too far was when Anatoly says, like, I'll be back in the city when it's ashes. I like to imagine his plan was then to scoop up the ashes and sell it to Chinese medics that would then try and sell it as erection powder.
I would like to think that he took the ashes and went home and just made little tea bags out of them.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
And hot water. He's like, I will drink Star City tonight.
I have the finest ashes of Star
All right.
City. It will
Now that we're
help
talking
your
about
bone marrow.
Arrow, I've been dying to talk about Liam's backpack because of the horrifying implications. So that means that Barry sold his rights somewhere?
Yeah. Well, okay.
Well,
so
no, not really. Go ahead, Arlen.
No, so he has action figures also. There are Green Arrow and Flash action figures. So my only assumption is that because he's a public figure, he's somehow in the public domain.
Yeah.
But I don't understand how, like...
Okay, here's something else I'm going to bring up about the weird use of merchandise in this show. A few episodes back, William was playing Injustice 2, which features Green Arrow and the Flash and Superman and Batman.
Yeah.
Supergirl.
And the rest of the DC superheroes. Like,
I kind of like the idea though of it, that it's like they're whoring themselves out.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, it must be some companies making money off of them, because I don't think that they can trademark themselves without giving out their real name, can they? I don't know much about trademark law.
I don't think you can do that because they'd have to show that they have the rights and ownership of said property, and the only way you can do that is be like, hey, I'm Barry Allen, I'm the Flash.
Right.
See, look at this. Now give me a check, like, for all these backpacks you put out.
Let's dive deep into this Injustice 2 thing. Injustice 2 features a story mode that heavily features people's secret identities.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if it was just a short clip. That was very blatantly Injustice 2, which also means that in the Arrowverse, Ed Boon was like, let's take Mortal Kombat
and make
put him against real
people.
People that actually exist. And one person that doesn't exist in this universe, but occasionally shows up.
See, I like the idea more that somebody on Team Arrow went to this, let's say it's not Midway, let's say it's some other fake video game company that created this game. They're like,
I do want to imagine
I know
it is
about
Ed
these
Boon,
characters.
though.
Well, yeah, obviously it's Ed Boon, but I just like the idea of them being like, hey, here's a good idea for a video game. You want to give me some money on the sly?
Yeah. I have all the rights to all these characters.
Actually, it's Mr. Terrific. That's how he can afford all those T-spheres.
Or it's HR. I mean,
That's,
HR makes the most sense from my
Yeah, that's true.
I just want to know how the fuck they got the rights.
Yeah.
No, I mean, think about it, though. In the Flash, like, at the coffee shop, they have a Killer Frost drink.
Well, that's because they just name drinks off of the Star City people.
True.
Like,
Not you expressly using the logo.
But I mean, you go to
I went to there's a bar in Vegas called Millennium Fandom, and you can go there and order a BB-8.
Right.
Nice.
There's no way that they've talked to Disney. There's no way.
I don't know. I mean, I have a couple like open air markets around where I live, or flea markets, whatever, and you can find knockoffs of everything there. So there's somebody out there who's just like, hey, the Flash exists. Let's make this thing that looks like his logo. Cool. Let's make $20 a backpack.
Yeah, I can see that. I could definitely see that. I could definitely see William being one of those kids that goes on like a Redbubble type site and designs his own Flash logo and then custom orders a backpack.
I also like to think of it as William being completely spiteful to his dad.
Right.
And being like, fuck you,
You have
dad.
got a Flash backpack, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Grounded.
Yeah, because he's a real hero, and he actually would love me if he would be my dad.
He didn't kill my mom.
Yeah, superpowers, Dad.
Also, how old is he?
Eddie Cisco preaches in from season 2.
Well, we've discussed this. William is an immortal.
Yep.
Because he no longer looks 10. He no longer looks 10 anymore.
Look, here's
he's
the thing.
aging.
Here's what's happening. The season is going to end with the ultimate reveal
that he's
William-
26 years
that
old.
William is the demon's head. Okay, he is Ra's al Ghul, turned from the dead.
Okay,
He was in the Lazarus pit too long, and it made him a child.
Yeah, I like the idea that Starro took over this child's body, and that's what's going on this whole time.
It's actually he's gonna pull off his face and reveal himself to be the android version of Amazo from Injustice 2.
No,
And then he's gonna fucking orbital curb stomp someone's dad while he's grilling steaks in the backyard.
He's
Here's
named after a
the ultimate-
Japanese ship.
By the way, that's still not a lie. That still happened on the page, and I can't get over it.
no,
At
no,
this
no,
point,
no,
you
no.
could say anything, and it'd be like, oh yeah, that probably did happen in Injustice 2.
No, here's what's gonna happen to Liam. We're gonna get to the end of the season, and he's gonna be 26 years old, and still wearing like children's clothes.
I just want to see like,
What's
okay,
up, Dad?
I'm mad I missed this joke a few weeks ago, but has anyone seen? This is gonna be a really bizarre question. Dickie Roberts' Child Star with David Spade.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
There's a
I've seen it.
scene where
Unfortunately,
he goes to audition in front of Rob Reiner, and Rob Reiner's like, "Okay." He's like, "Can you act?" He's like, "Of course I can act." He's like, "Okay, you're 5 years old. You got a brand new bike for Christmas. Act it out." And he goes, "Holy shit, a bike!" He's like, "You're 5." And then David Spade goes, "Goo goo gaga," and he goes, "You're still 5." That is William.
Yeah.
It's the funniest part of it on otherwise totally shit film.
yeah, fuck that movie.
Yeah. They're good.
The only thing that
There's-
gave us is this is nothing butts.
And
There's a lot of bad
that's-
parts in it. The
Yeah,
celebrity
you-
boxing is fun. I'll say that.
But yeah, Arrow was holy shit. Arrow was good this week.
Yeah.
I got Arrow effectively rebooted its own season. It's
Yeah.
it was like a season
Yeah.
premiere.
This is definitely
Yeah,
6B beginning.
This should have been the mid-season finale, honestly.
It
Yeah.
absolutely should.
Yeah.
It was pretty fucking dope.
Yeah,
They
Because
should
that
have.
would have been a great opening for the rest of the season. Then,
Yeah,
and be like,
totally.
oh, Dragon is our bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's so far he's killing it. I think. I mean, we only really got 2 minutes of him as like, oh, I'm the big bad now. I'm the guy,
Mhm.
and he was fucking great.
Yeah.
Really.
Also, he kills that dude with a pen,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
intense.
Yeah.
I like the fact that his performance for basically throughout this entire season has been this kind of wide-eyed, confused, and frightened-looking man, kind of
Mhm.
always like he belongs in the background. And then he steps in that room with Caden, and I'm like, his performance has completely changed.
Yeah.
Like, he's an entirely new character.
Yeah.
Well, he's a good actor, and that's why I was kind of shocked when he first showed up this season, and I was like, really, that's all you're doing with him?
Yeah.
But yeah, we were all tricked.
Yeah.
I have a-
I don't have too much to say about Arrow this week because it was so damn good.
Yeah.
And usually when they're this good, we don't have too much to say because there's not much to dissect, unless it's something like totally earth-shattering. And this isn't quite earth-shattering, but it's important.
No, nothing really. I did like when Anatoly got one over on Mr. Terrific. That was great.
Oh my god, it's like when he started fighting, I was like, yes, here it comes.
And the totally is the trap.
I did like. I'm still convinced that Oliver punched him, and Anatoly was like, "I do not feel pain, but I will amuse you." And he just drops and he looks up and then closes his eye real fast, like I'm unconscious.
I am honorable man. I pretend that this worked. To help your
He starts making fake snoring noises like little kids do when they're supposed to be asleep. Oh, Anatoly is very knocked out. Oh no.
Oh, I think you loosened my tooth a little bit, Ollie.
Oh, Anatoly is very hurt. Oh no.
Oh,
Job.
there are many birds above my head. Oh, I do not understand.
Anatoly could totally kill you right now, but he chose not to.
Anatoly could have caught your fist with his teeth.
I want Anatoly to become the scarecrow of this universe, and that he just appears sometimes. Just like,
Yes, I'm in.
Yeah.
Has a few memorable lines and just goes away.
yeah.
I feel like that in the Dark Knight movies, like there's no resolution on Scarecrow. Just like he just shows up and then like everything kind of wraps up like go.
Well, he gets super scared of Batman and then he disappears.
Right.
I think in the novelization you say he got rounded up.
Oh.
And there's
Also, it's fucking horrifying what Batman turns into.
Yeah.
If you're talking, scary as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
actually real quick about the I guess the novelization of Dark Knight Rises implied that the Joker was put as the sole inmate, basically locked in a building by himself to go insane.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, he was already there, but
Yeah, like he was basically locked up and they threw away the key.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
Makes sense.
that's extreme. Because I think they said like Arkham was basically abandoned and it just sits in the Narrows like all by itself.
Yeah.
Which is funny because like we locked him in there. Did you cover up the wall that they blew up in the first movie? Oh shit! They put him in Joker's suit and they walked outside. Well, that was.
Have you met our newest cop? His name is Robin.
God fucking damn. No.
Anyway,
He's still trading with YouTube videos.
where's Batman? I'm not quite ready yet.
I just have 3 more YouTube videos to go, and then I'll be ready.
And then I'll know all of Krav Maga.
oh no.
And I'll know how to hide in the shadows
I
properly.
just gotta figure out my 7th punch to the nuts. Okay.
Bruce forgot to privatize the video so everyone could see them.
I'm still trying to figure out how to hide my nose. I'm sorry.
I haven't gotten the black makeup I put on underneath my eyes quite right, so when I put on the cowl, it looks like it's all black. Oh god, hey, look at this grapple. Ow, my eye!
That shit bugs the fuck out of me every time I see it because it's like you couldn't just bring the cowl in closer, like.
Mm-hmm.
Or why do you need to do that?
I don't. But everybody who ever has like even in Arrow and any of the CW shows, like anybody who's wearing a domino mask, like they have makeup on around their eyes.
Yeah.
At least in Kick-Ass, they show Nicolas Cage applying that makeup.
Yep. Yeah.
Putting on a fake mustache.
I mean, it's better than when Green Arrow first started. He was just rocking grease makeup. He was just grease paint.
Which is the most insulting thing I've ever heard. It's like I'm the Hood, Oliver.
Yeah, I'm all right with it because Barry was the one who gave him a mask, so that was cool. I like that, but yeah.
So
Barry's
Black
like,
Lightning-
dude.
Yeah,
You
please
need a
put this
mask.
on. You're embarrassing us. Black Lightning was again this week. Very,
Yeah.
very good. I would
don't-
say that and Arrow were kind of on the same level this week.
Yeah.
Barring
But-
maybe a few differences because Arrow is more eventful.
Yeah.
But Black Lightning is, I don't think we can say it's an anomaly anymore. Like,
Mhm.
it has consistently delivered every episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like this is it was like an episode where that would be considered filler, I think, really. Like
God.
and it's
And even
that
their filler
good.
episodes give you stuff to chew on, like we mentioned before. I don't know who this new villain is, but whatever she was doing to that poor person at that table was really horrific.
Yeah,
And
that
the
was.
the fact they wouldn't show me all of it really got. I'm
Well,
like, what? I'm like, all I see is a stitched up chest, a tube, and someone's face making really horrifying expressions.
Right. When those eyes opened, I was like, "Holy fuck, that's dark." Yeah. That was gruesome. That's like horror movie stuff, like something you would not expect to see on a CW show.
And I
No.
like just like Jefferson's attitude about everything is really endearing. Like when he gets up in that building and he's like, he puts on his new goggles and he's like what is it? Gamby's like, what do you see? He's like, absolutely everything. And like the amount of awe that's in his voice and like the shot of him actually seeing like every device that's giving off some kind of electrical signal across the city. I'm like, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also you can see it in his eyes that he's excited about it. Like he's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
He's starting to have fun with it, which I like.
I also really like there was a quick shot during the dinner table scene where his daughter's like, I think Black Lightning's doing a good thing for this community, and like it just cuts to him with a small grin in his face, taking a fucking victory sip out of his wine.
Yeah.
And then his ex-wife shoots him a look.
I also do love that he still has no time for criminals, where he's just like beating the shit out of that one dude in the beginning.
Which,
Yeah.
oh god, this had the best criminal interaction. Like, didn't you say it was on like a Turk Barrett level?
Oh, it is
was
so good because like
so
even
great.
Black Lightning is taken aback by he's like, I'm gonna knock you out now. He's like, wait, hold on, before you knock me out. Okay?
Yeah.
No, you can't get a pick.
I like to imagine the picture that he got was him being punched right as the button got hit, because you would imagine electrical interference would set it off right as he's hitting him in the face.
Right. God.
It's just his head being knocked back and just like a fucking spark.
So
Yes.
good.
I also do love, and they did explain this away. Like, I guess when you look at his face, it kind of generates some kind of feedback, so you can't quite see his features.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
I don't remember them saying or implying that.
Yeah,
no, that
his
would make
daughter,
sense.
one of his daughters say it because it's the episode after the rescue from the hotel. It's like episode 2. They're like,
Mhm.
"What's he look like?" And she's like, "You can't really look at him; it hurts." Like,
Oh,
she's like, it "Gives you a headache."
Okay.
I'm like, "That's a lot easier than like, your man's like, I am Clark Kent now. Now I'm."
No, I'm not Clark Kent.
Clark Kent.
Clark Kent.
Clark Kent.
That's his cousin.
Clark Kent.
Yeah, my father was not killed by a tornado. That's not me.
You know, no,
He was
what?
killed by a mudslide.
Clark Kent's father shows up and it's just a tornado with a mustache and a bowler hat on.
Jonathan
Hello?
Kent. That's not a name I've heard in years.
And then like, his son is the tornado that killed John Kent, and he's like, "I'm very proud of you, son."
You really gave it that farmer.
I like how we've created the DC tornado universe, like
Yes.
featuring
It's the
characters who can and can't fight tornadoes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Someday he'll fight the red tornado, and then that will be the end of all things.
Now, here's a better question: how would Henry Allen do against tornado?
Ooh.
Horribly.
It just stabs him and walks away.
No, the tornado would just kill. Fuck, what's her name? What's Barry's mom's name?
Oh no!
Laura?
Nora. Yeah, it would just kill. It would just kill her and then frame him.
It just shrinks down to like reverse flash size. Walks in, like a little hand pops out with a knife.
No wait. It kills him and then it kills Reverse Flash, and Reverse Flash is in prison.
But reverse flash immediately respawns. Like, come on! I can hear for one thing.
Well, no, it wouldn't actually kill him. It would just keep him in stasis inside of the tornado the whole time. So he wouldn't be able to actually get away from it.
See, now there's a hole in that theory because reverse flash is the master of cheating death.
Mm-hmm.
But he wouldn't be killed. He would be in a constant state of just spinning.
Right.
And another version of him from a different timeline would show up and be like, "Oh God." One of those fucking time remnants from Legends of Tomorrow season 2, quote unquote. But yeah, Tobias Church is menacing and horrifying, and like the weirdness of his albino nature being addressed.
Yeah, I love that.
She's like, you know, they used to grind albinos and turn you into magic. I was like, I didn't know that.
That was
I didn't know
fucked
at all.
And that's a great threat, also.
Like, I probably grind you up and turn you into my own magic dust.
Yeah. Oh
Like
God.
that kind of works well too, because like it's like implying that he's like betraying his own race and stuff like
Mhm.
that, and like it
Yeah.
like
Well, I mean, like, what was it? 2 episodes ago, he flat out says like, he just comes out and says he doesn't like black
Yeah,
people, or he doesn't like certain kinds of black people.
Right. He's doing like I said, he's doing a Chris Rock bit. And
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
like
we
I
cannot
said it.
repeat ever.
None of us can repeat that bit.
I said it in the episode that we recorded when we reviewed it. Like his little bit about what kind of black people he doesn't like, I will not repeat.
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
really...
Great Chris
I'm
Rock
not even
bit,
going
though.
to comment on this.
Everybody go look up that Chris Rock bit because it's a really good bit. It's still really
Yeah.
good. And then look up Donald Glover's bit where he talks about how he used to do that bit as a child, but he would change one of the words to vampires. It's great. It's great. So 2 levels of bit right there. Yeah.
Jesus.
But also, I'm still a big fan of Tobias's weird henchmen,
Yeah.
who just look like weird meth addicts
Yeah.
that he gave a bunch of nice clothes to.
He kills the coroner, which is just...
Which
Yeah.
that had one of my favorite lines when he's like, "Did you get a body in here that looked like Earth, Wind, and Fire?" What? And he punches him. That made me so happy.
What a
Made me
great
so
show.
happy. Yeah.
But
I also like that like Black Lightning's theme is a full rap. Like
that kind of feels like an homage to Static Shock in a way.
Kind of. I can see that.
Like,
well, I still theorize that this show is basically like nobody cares about Static Shock anymore, so let's give them this instead.
Yeah.
I mean,
Black Lightning's a better character. Just saying.
Yes, he is.
Okay, I mean, I'll allow these wrong opinions to stand.
He is. He is wrong. He's a better character. Like, I'm
No,
sorry.
here's the thing. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't just introduce Static into this universe. It would almost be interesting.
They will eventually.
actually.
They will eventually.
I don't know though. I really feel like, and I mind you, it's the first season, so we can't really speak too far ahead, but I feel like what they're doing with this show, like they're really keeping it grounded.
Yeah,
Like
I agree with that.
it feels like we might not even see any other real metahumans until much later, if at all.
I kind of hope that
Yeah.
when they do introduce new metahumans, like it's later in the seasons, like
Yeah,
in
and
the second season.
and I think it'll probably be connected to Jefferson's powers and his origin in some way. And I wouldn't be surprised if, that's when we introduce Static as a character years down the line, because he's interesting because you can have a younger version of Jefferson show up basically, and you can have the older character teaching the younger character how to do their job, but they have the same powers. It's not like what we're going to see with him and his daughters. And they could also introduce sort of he doesn't like that him and the youngest daughter are kind of into each other. That's something that they could do down the line.
That's true.
And I think that would be interesting. And I don't even necessarily think they should introduce a bunch of metas. The more we watch of this, the more I'm into the idea of them never crossing over at all, but just building out this universe with its own rules and its own, set of.
Here's the thing:
problems.
if they do cross over, I want it to happen as rarely as possible, and I really want the clash in tone.
I want him to be angry all the time about what's going on.
I just want him to like constantly look at these people like they're a bunch of children, because to him they are. They're a bunch of amateurs. Like he did this, he retired and came back into it, so he knows exactly, what to do and what not to do. And I feel like he would look at someone like Oliver and be like, "You need to be a better father and a better man."
And then he'd look at Iris and be like, I'm not even gonna touch this.
Yeah.
Well, then just 2 episodes later, she would have his powers.
Wait, what if Iris is like secretly DeVoe?
Oh God.
That's the opposite end of the spectrum of Patty Spivot as Zoom. But where Patty Spivot as Zoom is like the most unexpected and hilarious outcome. Like Iris being DeVoe is like the worst possible thing I can come up with for the season of Flash.
Yeah.
Except them bringing back Reverse Flash for him to just die. What am I kidding? He'll be back.
They're not gonna kill him though.
I mean, he's already back, so who cares?
Yeah.
He came back in the crossover, and he's like, "See you around." I'm gonna go be busy now. Where is he? What is he doing?
He's just hanging out. He's in ancient Egypt, just chilling.
And I really hope it's addressed later this season. I mean, not to divert from Black Lightning, but I think it needs to be addressed that he came back and he's still Harrison Wells' Reverse Flash is back. The one who's supposed to be dead.
Mm-hmm.
Actually dead.
I think that was all set up for later. And my theory that Malice is actually Reverse Flash, which they still have done nothing to get rid of. So
No, Mouse is a vampire, dude. What are you talking about?
I don't know.
Malice turns out to be a vampire. I'm actually pretty upset about that.
Yeah, Malice needs to be something cool. He needs to be the Anti-Monitor or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's not gonna be actually a vampire though.
Well, that's the thing. Legends needs to come back real strong to wash the taste of some of these shows out of our mouths, because
I
Flash and
miss
Supergirl.
Mick Rory so much, honestly.
Oh no,
Yeah.
honestly, I think missing that level of chemistry between cast members, because some of these some of it's just not working out. And we mentioned Dinah earlier, and I think we can kind of just brush off Black Light now, because Black Light was fantastic, and like Arrow, there's not too much to say about this episode because it was filler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and that the biggest development was his daughter exhibiting more powers,
and yeah,
her powers.
Yeah, and seemingly she's pursuing
walking
this.
weapon of destruction.
Yeah, she seems to be more convinced now that she's going to start doing this and actually going in and because there's a scene where she attacks the two convenience store guys, and she seems like, I don't know, maybe I'm not ready for this, or maybe I'm too strong.
She's worried that she kills them, and she doesn't want to kill them.
Yeah.
But then, like, she kind of abandons that when she sees, like, is that her girlfriend? Is that some girl she's now hooking up with?
It seems like it's just the new girl she's hooking up with. They don't seem like official yet or anything.
She's playing the field a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When she sees that, she just fucking unloads. Because, like, when they pan over to that scene, there's just shit everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, they're
turned car.
blood. Like how, like, Gamby, right? It's Gamby is his name?
Mm-hmm.
I think so, yeah.
I got nothing over here. Keep doing what you're doing. Bye. It's just
But like, the one thing I kind of like about Black Lightning is that he just doesn't give a fuck, like about the well-being of his of the thugs he's beating up. He's just like, you're a fucking piece of shit. I'm gonna beat the fuck out of you.
He abuses these dudes. Like especially it's Daredevil levels of like, I'm gonna fuck you.
You're not gonna walk after this.
Like season 2 of Daredevil. Like, I'm sorry, but Matt crippled every one of those bikers.
Oh yeah. Totally. No,
Probably permanently
Deservedly
injured
so.
because he hits them with chains, and then he also what's it called when you punch someone with your gun in your hand? There's a specific word for it.
He pistol whips like 17 people, like all over, like 5 times a piece, and is whipping them with a chain whilst like judo tossing them down a flight of stairs.
That's
those
the other
people
thing.
are fucked.
Stairs fuck you up. Stairs can fuck people up way harder than anybody ever anticipates, especially if they're like steel or cement. Like, you're paralyzed, most likely.
And like at some point, he's just forgoing the stairs and just dropping them over the railing.
Some of those people are dead.
Yeah,
they're dead. They're
dead.
They are dead. Yeah.
But yeah, Black Lightning just like Thug will get back up and he's like, all right, 10 more hits for you. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, I will say if his daughter isn't like the way she's going, I want her to be not in a suit yet, but like I want Gamby to meet her by the end of next episode, and like talk to her about this and like tell her I can make you a suit. I've made your father a suit, and I want her to learn that her father is Black Lightning, soon. Yeah. Well,
I think that's important. That's important for the development with his ex-wife, because I think as soon as she learns that her daughter has superpowers, her entire attitude's going to change. Because now it's not just like my husband is this anomalous superpowered being who's got these fucking godly powers that he can do a lot of good with. Like, but now it literally runs in my family.
Yeah, and also the whole thing of, but what if our daughters get hurt? Well, that's much harder to worry about.
Now it's not an issue.
Yeah,
exactly.
Your daughters are one of them is probably stronger than Jefferson.
Like,
to be honest,
your daughter can cause a seismic event that can destroy several things in the area and fuck up people around her.
She flipped a car.
Yeah, like no, she destroyed that whole area.
Yeah, and when they do finally team up, oh my,
that's gonna be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because like here's the thing, like Jefferson as Black Lightning fights like nobody else in these shows, because like Barry's abilities are he can do simple things, but because of how fast he's moving, they all just become really like a simple punch from Barry is devastating because he's moving so fast.
Right.
Oliver's a martial arts expert. He's a marksman.
Also,
blah blah.
He's a bow and arrow. Yeah.
Bow and arrow. Jefferson is like a speed tank. Like he's first of all he's a big dude. He's deceptively fast, and all of his hits pack a fucking electronic punch. Like, literally. He reminds me of like Michael Jai White and shit like that when he's fighting people, and it's scary.
Yeah.
Very.
Because he's very proficient at what he's doing. I'm like, damn, he's fucking fun to watch.
And
and he's already moved on to the next person while he's in the middle of fighting somebody. Like you can see the cogs in his head turning.
He looks like grossly effective every time he drops in a fight.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of awesome. I do like the fact that he was forced to use his powers on that little student because it's just kind of funny to me. Like,
yeah.
Because like I imagine that kid kind of woke up like, did I have a dream that black lightning electrocuted me in the bathroom? No, son, go back to sleep.
And shocks him in the head.
You were literally on drugs.
Where'd the drugs come from?
I like the fact that even the drug had a rap.
Yeah.
To go along with it. That was fantastic.
Yeah, I was actually surprised that they had a rap for it the whole time.
That was awesome. Everything seems like it has a rap. They're not using like established soul or R&B music.
Yeah.
Or any kind of town stuff.
Yeah, I mean they definitely have the one guy who's doing it all. It seems, but the stuff that they are playing that's original music isn't that bad actually.
Is it
like
the guy who plays Spice Whales is a rapper?
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's him.
No, that does not sound like the voice that would come out of that guy if he was on the mic. Like,
Yeah.
that is a much younger man and a much skinnier man.
I would imagine that like if Tobias Church, like I imagine like his kind of raps would sound like somebody that came out of fucking Bone Crusher or something like that.
Oh yeah, I'd said before, like he ran with a crew that Exhibit was originally a part of.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Murder.
No,
That's
not
Busta Rhymes. That's Busta
no,
Rhymes.
that's not Busta Rhymes. You said
Ja Rule? Is it Ja Rule?
Yes, thank you. That's Ja Rule. Yeah, it's Baby DMX.
It was so fucking soft compared to fucking Busta Rhymes. Busta Rhymes is like 50 years old and is like a jacked up monster who can still fucking spit at that rate. It's ridiculous.
That's the thing, though. You look at like just even old videos of Busta Rhymes. Like he was a skinny little guy, like back when he was in Leaders of the New School, and then all of a sudden he just started eating human growth hormones all the time, and he turned into this monstrosity.
He is gigantic. I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah, it's so odd. Like I remember seeing him after like not hearing about him for a couple years, and I was like, wait, no, somebody ate Busta Rhymes and just took on his body's form.
Like get away. I can't do it. I'm too white.
I used to know most of the words to Break Your Neck.
Wow.
Okay.
And I also used to know most of the words to oh damn it. Fuck. Throw the Water on Him, I think it's called.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of it. But he did it with Travis Barker, and it's awesome.
I know all the words to the Humpty Dance, but that doesn't really do anything for anybody anymore.
That doesn't surprise me.
So that's a
What
wrap
does
on
that
TV.
mean, Hunter?
Just kidding.
That's a wrap on TV. You want to bullshit about something for about 10 more minutes, or?
Wasn't there news?
I mean,
nothing happened in the
covered
last
so
24
much.
hours. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing yet. I read Batman number 40 today, and I don't know. And then I guess something else happened in current DC. Like they had Batman get engaged to Selena, and then all of a sudden they're like, let's have him make out with everybody.
oh wow.
What?
Like
What?
39 ended with Wonder Woman and Batman. They're like, there's this little mini arc going on with like. They have to switch places with this warrior who's in a realm where it's just like constantly fighting waves and waves of demons.
That's metal as fuck.
It's more metal than DC's metal right now, which I'm very unimpressed with, by the way.
What's the matter? You don't like Judge Dredd Batman?
Okay. Here's the thing: all the Elseworld like Nightmare Batmans are cool as fuck.
They are. They're really awesome.
The story of DC's metal is playing out like this. Get the Barbados in the dark place and put the 7th metal in the thing, and then light will show up and the blah de blah and lore dump. And that's basically how it's reading to me.
Everything I've heard, it sounds like it's an excuse to have Sandman enter back into the mainstream DC universe.
Isn't Batman like turned into a train at one point, or am I just like imagining things?
No, but here's the thing: like, here's also the timeline of this event is really perplexing because, like, I think a recent Flash comic referenced events that happened in metal as if they had happened months ago. But there's no break in the action in Flash. Everything seems to have happened, back to back to back to back to back. And I think recently in one of the Flash comics, he told Iris, he's like, when I saw you in Central City and we dealt with Red Death, which is the Batman speedster, blah blah blah. I'm like, wait a minute, you just referenced that, but like there hasn't been any resolution to that in the Metal event yet.
Yeah, that's
Along
probably the case.
production schedule.
Along with that, you have Doomsday Clock, which is also kind of panning out as fucking long as it is, and no one knows when's that. There's no timeline of when that takes place. And if that's like truly a DC event and not just some kind of like Elseworld story, then when the fuck does it take place? Because the reflection of Gotham City in Doomsday event is not a reflection of what's going on in Batman in at least the mainline Batman comics.
Yeah,
In the slightest.
I'm guessing that, just for the amount of time the Doomsday Clock is going to run, it's going to be 12 issues, but who knows how long it's going to take for those issues to come out.
It is taking I read Doomsday Clock number 3. By the time I read it, I had forgotten what happened in Doomsday Clock number 2.
Jesus Christ.
It's taking so goddamn long. Also,
Good job,
Doomsday
guys.
Clock number 3 painted Batman as like the biggest piece of shit I've ever seen.
Well,
Yeah,
Alan Moore placed a curse on Doomsday Clock, so now it's gonna take forever to come out.
It's the only incantation to get to work.
God damn it.
He's downstairs. He's like, I put a death curse on all of them. Your death curse didn't.
Well, he's probably responsible for From Hell being bad, so that's...
He's had a personal vendetta, or not personal vendetta, that's a bit extreme, but he's also not been impressed with DC ever since Jeff Johns started writing Green Lantern and all of the colored lanterns started coming out, more so than just the green, the yellow, and the star sapphires, because I think in an interview he'd said like, oh, well, DC isn't original anymore. They just take recycled ideas or old ideas that somebody mentioned in passing and turn it into main events. Because when Alan Moore was writing Green Lantern, apparently he had brought up the idea of the entire spectrum of lanterns, and it was just said in passing. And Jeff Johns took it and ran with it.
Okay, but that's how you build a universe, Alan.
Well,
Alan Moore.
he's got to write stuff about pornographic stories of
He's got to write. He's got to write.
No,
What?
characters.
He's got to turn beloved childhood icons into school shooters. That's what he has to do.
Exactly.
Hey, you love Harry Potter? Harry Potter killed everyone at Hogwarts. How about that?
Isn't it funny? Ha 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 ha.
I'm Alan Moore.
It'd be really funny.
JK.
It'd be really funny if he actually sat down.
God damn it, Arlen.
I quit.
It'd be
I
really
resigned.
funny. It would be really funny if he sat down and watched the Watchmen movie and sat there and went, "Wow, Zack Snyder made a better ending to the movie than I did for my own fucking book."
No, he'd refuse to admit that. He'd be like, "Where's the giant squid?"
Mm-hmm.
He'd be like,
What is this? The alien brings so much more nuance to story. No, it doesn't. Actually slows your story way the fuck down.
You're all assuming that he would even have access to something like a DVD player.
I don't think he
Well,
knows how. I think he looks at a DVD player and is like, "What is this black magic?"
Does anybody else
Exactly.
here remember his criticism of V for Vendetta? Like, one of his main criticisms, and it's the silliest criticism ever. It's that the government portrayed in the movie, they are neoconservatives, not fascists. That was
What?
one of his complaints about the movie.
What?
Yeah.
Hey, what?
That's one of his legitimate problems with the film. That they were the wrong kind of conservative assholes. That was one of his problems with it. That's how nitpicky he gets with his own material.
What's when you start debating, when you start getting angry over what form of evil government is worse than the other form of evil government, like you're really trying to create an argument there. Out of nothing. You're splitting hairs.
Also, he created
it's
V
also-
for Vendetta, so he shouldn't be talking. Oh, slam dunk.
I like V for Vendetta quite a bit, but okay. That's
No,
fine.
V for
I'm
Vendetta
just
is also
being edgelord. It's fine.
It's also a very specific reflection of the British government at that
Right.
time. And I think that's why he's a little bit salty, because you can't really translate that to a wider audience and have it work. So you have to take something that's a little bit easier for everyone to swallow. Like, I don't even understand the difference between Tory and Labour parties, and I'd like to believe I'm a little bit more educated than most people.
Yeah. The other thing about Alan Moore is that, like, I think I remember his criticism of 300, the movie, was, and this is why when he heard Zack Snyder was making Watchmen, he was like, "Nah, no thanks, I'm good." I think I can't remember what he called it. I think he called it homophobic or too homoerotic. And I would say I would think it's more homoerotic. So if you call it homophobic, I think we all saw he saw a different movie than we did.
Yeah, he did. He saw a very different movie.
I think he called it blatantly homoerotic. I'm like, do you know anything about the Greeks?
Yeah.
Did he read the original comic where all the guys were naked?
Has he read Plato or anything about Plato?
The Greeks were so okay with gay sex, like he's out in fucking, in a fucking, like, they come home and I think I can't remember what it was, but like I think wives are just like, yeah, they're gonna fuck, like, whatever.
Also, it's not just gay sex; it's gay sex with young boys. Yeah.
It's certainly not condoning it, but like back in Spartan culture, that was perfectly okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, like, I don't know, like I think he called it. There was a couple of other things he called it, but I think it's all kind of negated by when you look at 300 and go, yeah, that's the story.
Right.
Like, it's told from the fucking perspective, so of course the Persians are monsters.
Yeah, yeah. Like, it's the story that you would tell if you were drunk in a Greek, I don't know if they had bars, but, a tavern or something like that. It's the kind of thing you would tell while you were, like, getting drunk, getting real fucked up on mead or whatever.
Yeah, you'd be telling the senator who's a horse who was put into office by Caligula. Yeah, you'd be drinking wine with him and talking about it.
Right.
Funny for about 300 once. I was at I think I was at my ex-girlfriend's. Like, it was some kind of party event, whatever. One of her neighbors, a grown man, much older than I am, was like just fucking shit hammered. And 300 was on, and I offhandedly mentioned, I'm like, yeah, it's cool. It's based on a real battle. And he turns around at me, looking as mad as he could possibly be, and goes, "No, the fuck it wasn't." I was like,
what?
Wow.
The Thermopylae, like, it really happened. And he's like, "Are you?" And then basically use the fact that the movie presents the Persians as literal monsters. He's like, "You're stupid. This never happened. It didn't happen anywhere. It's impossible." And then I think I Googled it, and he got even more angry because he sat there insulting me for like 10 minutes.
They're like, dude,
I'm
this
like,
is wrong.
I was like, dude, there's a statue of Leonidas in Greece. Are you kidding me right now? I'm like, you can find arrowheads in the sand from this battle.
And he looks just like Colin Farrell, or whoever played Leonidas, I forget.
Gerard Butler.
Colin Farrell?
No.
Same guy. They're the same person, right?
Colin Farrell and Gerard Butler are not the same person.
Sure, no, let's go with that. Yep, they're the same person. I loved In Bruges when I
fucking hate Bruges.
Jesus Christ.
Isn't Matt Smith in that movie?
I think so.
I think he might be.
I can't remember. It's been a while.
That movie's great.
That's a pretty good movie. It's pretty.
Do we want to wrap, guys? Because we're just kind of meandering at this point.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
I'm not gonna go to bed right after this.
Yeah.
And nothing really else to talk about. So I mean, hey, plugs. Movie Dumpster.
What the hell's going on?
Movie Dumpster's out. We did Venom. I covered this in our previous episode, so I guess I'm beating the horse here. After that, I think it's Sukiyaki. No, after that, the next episode is fucking Death Note from Netflix.
Oh no! Oh no!
Boy.
That's a movie I have seen, unfortunately.
We shredded that film. And like, I guess it was weird because I had never seen the anime or read the books. I think Joe had a passing knowledge of the books or the anime, and Sean was into both.
The
and
books
like,
are very good, by the way.
This movie bugged the fuck out of him. I hate it, like, basically just like as a film. I was like, this movie sucks. And he's like, this movie sucks. He's like, and it's a horrible adaptation.
So I don't know if you guys brought this from the episode, but like, the whole thing about Death Note is that like it's kind of like a deconstruction of the Japanese concept of rules, kind of like
that. It's supposed to be a battle of wits
yes.
between two very intelligent people.
So
and we did talk in length about how everybody in the Death Note movie is a fucking colossal numbskull.
Also, it's the world's dumbest battle of wits. It's like the stupidest, like two idiots like collide.
Yeah,
but, like,
It.
Reading the books to the movie is the most hilarious like comparison you can make, because Elle and like what's the other guy's name? I always forget his name. Light, let's say, are two geniuses.
They're supposed to be Sherlock and Moriarty, basically, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
that would
that's the
make a
kind of
lot
relationship
sense.
they're supposed to have. And in the film,
if Moriarty was a sociopath.
in the film, both of them are doddering idiots who constantly fuck up and like sabotage their own plans. Also, like in the Death Note, we talked about this too. L frequently comes to conclusions that you never see him like figuring out. It's like he has the script in his hand. He's like, I know this because that's what the movie's supposed to go in 2 pages.
It's fucking stupid.
I'm like he knows more than the audience does at every single turn, and it's fucking stupid. So yeah, it's a good episode. That's
Anyways, follow me on Instagram at StrokeOutMillionaire. You can also follow my other Instagram account, Mode7Games, where I collect NES games. I got Street Fighter 2010 recently, today actually, and that game is a game.
It's
It's a game.
Yeah, because Ken became a scientist after winning the Street Fighter.
And he throws wind punches.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, he does.
AA Haro on most of the places. SpaceColumbo.tumblr.com. Lost Horror Podcast. True Foe episode comes out Friday. Like I said,
that After Dark art is so.
It's pretty perfect.
I'm not even gonna spoil it.
I am so proud of myself right now.
it just worked. It was like, okay, this is the. Yeah.
Oh my god, I have tears rolling down my face.
Yeah. Steel is out.
Yeah,
Monday.
Go listen to that episode because I
Nice.
still think about that movie every day of my life.
Yeah.
No, we had a lot of fun with that episode. That was good time.
I think we collectively lost our minds during Steel, so.
Yeah, listen to it. Listen to it on Valentine's Day with your girl or your guy or whatever.
Pour yourself a nice glass of wine.
Or you're scaly.
No.
Oh, this episode's been brought back around the worst possible way.
Anything else, Arlen?
No, yeah, that was the end of my thing. Yeah.
I am lamenting my "it's all connected" joke now.
I'm Erik Fedorchak. You can follow me on Erik_Fedor on Instagram. I post pictures of dogs and comics and recently steaks. And on a serious note, like, take care of yourself, people. Like, go grocery shopping, buy some healthy things.
Yeah.
Look at circulars and plan out what you're going to buy. For the week.
I've recently started this diet where like I've cut out a big chunk of junk food and I feel 100 times better. Like,
and I'm not even saying like you have to cut that stuff out completely, but make smarter choices with
Yeah.
food. You've only got one go round on this world. You might as well try and make it the best you can.
I went from having a rock star after lunch today to having like just a regular plain old cup of coffee, and I was like, wow, I actually feel so much fucking better.
Yeah.
And it's not even that you
drink
need
water
to...
on top of that.
Yeah, and it's not even that you need to like undo your entire life as it is. Like, start small. Just like
little changes help. Like
if you drink coffee with creamer, just do like
without the
half as
creamer.
much creamer.
Hey,
for
listen,
one
you
day.
calm down, okay?
But then as you go
I will
along,
fight you right now.
do less and less creamer until you get to the point where you don't need creamer, and then you're just drinking black coffee.
Black coffee is fucking disgusting. I'm sorry.
No, when you get used to it, it's good.
What I drink coffee with just sugar in it, and that's like not much either. So you people are heathens.
I only drink black coffee when I need to stay up, and like I'm fully intending on sitting there just like covered in my own sweat.
I only drink black coffee via syringe.
Black coffee needs time for me, at least. Like, I can't drink it when it's that hot. Also, I have a Keurig, so black coffee doesn't taste as good in a Keurig. You kind of need
my wife and I use a French press, so fuck all of you plebeians.
Wow, fuck you.
Wow.
You're fired, Eric.
Yeah.
Espresso machine puts the creamer into a little leaf design in the front of it.
But yeah, like small changes.
I don't use creamer. I'm not a child.
Small
Like,
changes definitely help.
If you eat 5 Oreos every day, one less Oreo. Just
Oh, I have a sleeve of Oreos in the kitchen right now, and I'm really tempted.
There's an empty pack of Reese's peanut butter cups on my desk looking at me right now. In my defense, I didn't eat them all at once. I ate 2 yesterday and 2 tonight.
Oh, well, then you're fine.
But if you're someone who does that every single day, 1 less Reese's peanut butter cup, and then just keep on going until
and eventually your body will be like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And then you can become the governor of Minnesota.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you have more money for Alex Jones.
When Jesse Ventura and Alex Jones show up is when we end the episode. I'm done.
Yeah, thanks for joining us on Healthcast.
Buy our special Leadline packaged peanut butter cups.
Actually, in all seriousness, that's actually relevant to kind of our show. Please take care of yourself first. Worry about everything else later.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. Okay. Good night, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Fuck X-Men Apocalypse.
And fuck Twitter.
See everybody.
And fuck the Injustice 2 comic. I'm sorry. Here on that.